Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the CantinaMX podcast. We broadcast live every Thursday night here on our YouTube channel, CantinaMX podcast on YouTube. And of course, you can listen to this and in previous editions of the CantinaMX podcast. You can download from either Google Play or iTunes. Glad to have you with us. My name is John Jagu, your host here on our little show we like to do here in our little corner of the world called the CantinaMX podcast. And I'm glad that you guys are joining us. Pull up a chair, pour yourself a cocktail, and listen to about a 90-minute to 120-minute podcast dealing with the world of soccer, particularly Mexican soccer, but we do delve into other topics as well. But our main focus is Liga MX, la Selección Nacional de México, and the business and pretty much the entire infrastructure that Mexican soccer and other soccer sports. We'll talk about it here on the CantinaMX podcast. With us tonight, right now, a limited panel, but as the night goes on, I'm sure we'll add more and more folks as we always do. But we'll first start off over just about 30 miles as the crow flies from where I am here over in Kyle, Texas, but a good hour on the highways here in Austin. We have with us Albert Campachiquis. Good evening. How are you, sir? You doing all right?
Doing well. Yeah, a little bit of allergies or overcoming a cold type of thing, but yeah, doing
yeah,
okay.
I've been having to do. I thought the cedar was over, but no, cedar had its last. It had its last offensive this week, and I think it caught everybody by surprise. So, but hopefully that's over now. Chiquis, since it's just you and me. I did notice when we were in San Antonio a few weeks ago, and I don't want to out you for anything, but I did notice, Chiquis, that you had a sticker on your car of a team.
Oh yeah.
That now you could tell me that you bought the car used and it just came like that, and I get it and I'll understand, but I don't think that's the case. I think that is a sticker that you probably put on the car yourself. It's a Puma sticker.
Correct. Yeah, I got that when visiting Mexico one day.
And Pumas was expected to have a flan jarocho this weekend or I should say midweek. Yeah, last night, as a matter of fact, at CEU. It did not happen that way. It did not turn out that way for Pumas. They lost 2-1, and I think that it proved a couple of things. One, and I think you and I both knew this: Pumas is not as good as their record indicates. Number one. Number two, they're nowhere near good enough right now to overlook anybody.
Yeah, correct.
So good lesson for Pumas to learn.
Yeah, and that was evident a little bit in the last game over the weekend. A lot of their goals were sort of like bad defensive. I mean, El Chavito, he's speedy and he took advantage, but that one goal where he just beat the back of the defender, that was sort of bad.
Hey, I mean, do you score how you score? I mean, why would are you going to apologize for scoring him? Dude, I had to do it. You made it so easy for me. I had to score. I'm sorry, dude. I mean, come on, that happens in any game. They had a terrific goal against Veracruz. They scored well against Tigres. So I mean, to me, that's not necessarily the best argument. But to lose to Veracruz, a team that was and props to Memo Velasquez, for going into that stadium and knowing, what he knows and where he came from and to get the much needed points for Veracruz.
They weren't out of the game. They didn't play they played okay, I think, against.
Yeah, they played pretty well actually. They have, and he's not doing it with usually Veracruz. You look at their roster and it's like one hired gun after another. He's actually doing it with a couple of youngsters, which is at least mildly encouraging for.
And just like a year or so ago, everyone was hating on Van Dranken, and he's still in the mix. And Barrera, I'm not really too up on Barrera because he's old and stuff, but he's okay.
Dude, he's not even 30.
Well, I guess he's been around a long time.
Well, what he's had is a couple of knee injuries, just like David Cabrera.
Yeah, and then even that guy what's the guy that gets called up all the time? He's been playing really well. Gallardo. Their whole team is sort of like gelling, sort of a little bit like America is.
Right. No, I mean, again, I'm not saying that Pumas is a bad team. I'm just saying that Pumas is not nearly as good as its record. I mean, they've obviously 1,000% better than they were last season. I don't think anybody denies that. But this was a good lesson for them that you can't take a day off. I mean, especially in Liga MX where there's just not that much difference between a quote unquote good team and a quote unquote bad team. It's just not that. It's not like other leagues where the top two teams go play the bottom two teams, and it's going to be a 6-7-0 whooping. It's just not the case
Yeah,
in
the
Liga
league is crazy
MX.
because then you also have last night Monterrey Cruz Azuliar against Cruz Azul. Pretty much, they tied 2-2.
Right. Now,
Great.
to me, the most egregious thing about the Pumas Veracruz game was that Pumas lost to a team that was wearing a purple uniform with neon green borders and piping. You can't lose to a team dressed like that, especially at home. It just looks bad. And they are the Tiburones Rojos. What on earth are they doing wearing purple and green? That's all I have to say about that. Can't lose to a team dressed like that.
Yeah, there's some weird, always some complaints about the uniforms. The
As well,
uniform
there should be
colors.
for those. I'm usually okay with like the alternate color, but I mean at least have it to do something with who you are, or where you came from.
Yeah.
So I mean, especially if you have the name of a color in the name of your team. So,
Yeah, that's
but but again, Pumas hopefully will learn from this, and the goal is not to end up in first. The goal is to get a minimum 25 points. The more obviously better, so that they don't have to worry as much about next season as they could be if they were floundering like they were last season. So I mean, there was no way that they were going to finish the season undefeated. Go and take your lumps now, and they got a tough stretch. They got the Cholos coming up in Tijuana, and then they're playing Chivas in Seoul, which and I'm sure that most fans right now would say, well, that's going to be an easy game. Chivas are terrible, but Chivas is they are a good team right now that's trapped in a bad team's body, and sooner or later they're going to break out. Sooner or later, it's going to happen. Hopefully after they play Pumas, but
yeah, a win against Chivas would be great because the America win wasn't there, so we need this one, and it might not happen because Chivas seems to be waking up a little bit.
Yeah, we are going to enter the Chivas Crisis Center, but we do need to get some Chivas in on the podcast in order to do that. Of course, if we don't, then we can just take our shots as I'm sure that there'll be some defenders. I was also hoping we could get a Leon fan on here to talk about the misery of losing games by the margin of goals that they're lose. They lost 4-0, 5-0. They played Santos yesterday. They go up, and then Johnny Tavares rather scores a hat trick. They win 5-1, just obliterating Leon. Landon Donovan. It's like it makes me wonder. It's like if their defense is that bad, why on earth would they sign ask a guy a forward to come out of retirement if their defense is as bad as it's been. So it kind of makes you wonder about that particular business decision that Leon made, considering how poor their defense has been. Very very discouraging rather for the Los Esmeraldas. But Chicas, you're thinking that Chivas is on their way back, huh?
Yeah, I mean, this recent game. This is the first time I've noticed Almeida actually excited and happy and enjoying himself. He's before that, like I said previously, he's sort of been gloom and like wanting. It seems like he wants to get out of there. He wants out, and he's just frustrated because no signings and stuff, which I think is a bad excuse. But now he seems more animated. He seems a lot more excited. Pulido scores 2 goals and he seemed back up.
Now it does seem that they are it's like there's been an avalanche, right? And they've spent the night in the cave, knowing that there's an avalanche, and they're starting to dig their way out, and the snow is starting to get just a little bit softer. It's not as hard to get through. which might be a good sign for them. And of course, we can't go into the Chivas Crisis Center without a Chiva. And luckily, a Chiva has joined us out in Los Angeles. So we are joined by Joel Aceves, a admitted. Now, Joel, are you still a self-loathing Chivas fan, or have you learned to love Chivas again?
I'm realist, John. I keep it real, man.
So we'll just call you el Chiva pragmático.
That's about right. That's about right.
We'll call you Joel el pragmático. Okay. Well, Joel, not a win, but not a loss. In fact, a good result, or I should say, a good way to get a draw for Chivas. A way to boost the confidence. A 2-2 draw.
Yeah, but I think the team needed from the last two games it played. They needed 4 points. So while it's good, it still leaves the team in a bad position. I was looking at the charts at the Citadel, and you have to make about 25 points to make Liguilla.
And do you think that that Chivas is going to make those 25 points based on the schedule and your premonitions?
No, I have them missing out. I had them making about 20. I think, yeah, they have it pretty tough. They go up against Pachuca next, which they host at home. And alongside of Cruz Azul, they're the only two teams that haven't been able to win at their home venue. And then after Pachuca, I believe they travel to Seoul and then host America. So I think that those are going to be pretty tough games. Pachuca is tricky, it could go either way with Pachuca. Depends which Tuso shows up. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go back to the whole winning at home. And I think if you look at Puebla, they're in 5th place right now with 12 points, and that's basically all they've done is win all their home games.
And it's not like they've been beating some schleps at home either. I mean, they beat Tigres at home. They beat Chivas. They beat Toluca recently. Yeah. So if your team has Puebla on the schedule and you have to go, we have to come up with a good nickname for the
Camoteros, for their stadium.
Yeah.
La Camote Dome. But and yeah, they have a good coach in Ojitos Mesa.
They do have a good coach in Ojitos Mesa.
Yeah, he's been around the block.
Yeah.
And so I think that plays a big role in just doing good for the league.
I personally would love for FMF to give Ojitos one more chance.
One more chance
at the national team.
Well, he did get that one game, right? He played Brazil.
A real chance.
Oh, a real. Well, who knows, man?
Not a pity chance. Not a lifetime achievement award kind of chance. A proper. And maybe he can have a La Puente like run.
Well, that's true. And the thing I'm gonna say about Ojitos' team is that it's a modest squad. It kind of doesn't help Almeida when and Chivistas for that matter, when it's like that the team didn't have refuerzos, and it kind of invalidates some of the excuses that we could have to see a team like Puebla doing that much better.
Well,
with a more so and he's had the team for less, Well, Almeida's already been at the helm for let's say a little over 2 years. So it's going on to 3. So that's.
No, you bring up some very valid points with the Camoteros there, and they've won all of their games at home, and they've got guys like David Toledo, a couple of ex Pumas are on that team. Acosta from or is it Acuna? I forget what. An ex Tigre. A lot of ex guys are playing at Pumas.
Yeah, Yeah, I can't even name you that squad. I wasn't expecting much from Puebla, just that they were going to avoid the drop, you know. But there they are, man, 5th place.
It's
Doing
true. They
better.
are, the team actually. And I hate to say it. I hate to say it, and I'm sure that maybe we should wait a little. No, we should probably wait a little longer. I can't do it. I can't do it, Joel.
What you can talk about Pumas?
No, we already had our Pumas chat.
Oh, okay. You already
Yeah,
had
we had
Pumas
an
chat.
exclusive Pumas chat earlier.
Oh, okay.
And both Chiquis had some very salient points about what was that Chiquis you were saying about Pumas?
They're playing well with what they have. They're not.
Yeah, I mean, some players are having much better seasons than anticipated, and it's obviously paid off.
They're not going to tear through the league, but they're doing well. They could be a surpriser. I think they could surprise in the Liguilla. It could be one of those. They'll win the championship just like previous years where they weren't like the dominant force. They could just be
just be the steady team that we've grown to love.
What John and they just lost their they were undefeated, so I think that just leaves America as the only undefeated team.
Club America, they suck.
Yes,
but John, and
yes.
most of the predictions I had, they've been pretty. I've been pretty fair with them, but the one where I did get it, it looks like I'm getting it pretty wrong, and we both had this one is Cruz Azul as we picked them as favorites to take the league, and they haven't won at home either, and I think that's a pretty big problem to have.
It's early yet. I think the jury's still out on them. They got a really good result up in the Tamalera in Monterrey. Monterrey. Winning against a good Monterrey team, and then coming from behind to do it.
And then I don't know, man, just not winning at home, and then I was expecting good things from Gullit, and this guy comes back and he's overweight. One shepherd's pie too many.
That's right. That fine Scottish cuisine will do that to you.
And then he gets to finally play, and he gets injured.
Yeah. Do you think it was the fine Scottish cuisine, Joel, or do you think it was the Macawins?
They have a lot of fried food over there.
The Macawins lager.
I don't know what it was, but he was having a good time. So that's not. I don't know, man. I think Cruz Azul, their next game's at home, right?
I believe so.
So yeah, if they don't win it, then I think we could pack it in right there, John.
I will do no such thing. I don't know what you're talking about, Joel, but at least we had our Cruz Azul early in the season and not not like hanging on to. Although I do think the jury's still out on them. I think that slowly but surely they're going to.
Well, they already dropped. John, they're in 15th place, just one spot above Chivas is 16.
Yeah, but that didn't mean anything, Joel. I mean, how many points are there between them and in 7th place? Let us consult. No, don't make me do some work there, Joel. I mean, come on, let's have a look.
I would say 8th because 8th is Liguilla.
All right, so 10 points. That's Leon. They have 10, and Cruz Azul has 7 points. So they're 3 points behind.
No, you're right, but the thing is,
I mean, come on.
No. Well, see, I'm not saying they won't make Liguilla. I'm saying their odds of winning the league would drop considerably.
Well, I think it depends. At what point will they have their magical 3-game winning streak? As you know, we talk about this on the show all the time. A 3-game winning streak in Liga MX gets you from 15th to 3rd in 3 weeks.
That is true. And well, they play Puebla, so they're hosting Puebla, who hasn't been good on the road. But then and Cruz Azul, because I see them having similar at home. They have similar problem as Chivas. They have 2 draws and a defeat. Well, I wouldn't say
something has to give, right? A team that doesn't play well at home plays against a team that doesn't play well on the road.
In the road, yeah.
Somebody will suck less. That's how you sell that game. Who will suck less today?
But I like their schedule. I think it's better than Chivas because they do travel away to Santos, but then they host Querétaro. They have 3 games at home, John, which I think this is going to be their. Yeah. This is what you're talking about. This is where they get a big chance to turn it around. So they do face Querétaro, Pachuca, and Pumas all at home. Am I even looking at this right? Yeah. They're going to have 3 home games in a row. And then the game that all the Cruz Azulinos look forward to is they're going to travel away to America.
Holy, you are not kidding. They have 3 home games in a row. How does that even happen?
Yeah. Those are all. That's a good stretch if they make 9 points from that, or
3 straight
even
loss.
7. No, man, that was. I think Querétaro and Pachuca are winnable, but Pumas will be tough. But then America, that's America's been their coco for years, man. This could make or break them right there.
Yeah, so their schedule gets really tough at the end because they have America away, then they have to go to the Volcán. They get Lobos Buap and Morelia at home. So I think that, but they ended on the road at Veracruz, and that could be a game that could be vida o muerte for Veracruz, and then that's going to be at the pirate ship.
Yeah, at the Pirata Fuente.
Yeah. The drunken pirate ship. It's like it's like a booze cruise off the coast of Los Cabos.
All right, John. So I'm glad you still have faith in the Cruz Azul, man.
Hey, you gotta have faith in what you've picked. Just like
that's true.
Your amazing Henry Martin pick that you made. I'm sorry, or should we call him Henry Martin?
Henry, yeah, he took away the what was it? The accent, or the tile from.
Did he go Martin? Henry Martin?
Something like that, man. I don't.
Good for him. Good for him. Now he was up there with líderes goleadores, and I wish. Oh well, I stand corrected. I was going to say I wish that our resident Santos fan was on with us, and I thought he wasn't, but I'm sure that he was just
in time to talk to Giannini, who's
that's right. We're
making a run. He's making a run for Cardoso's record, man.
Who right? not only Joel is the leading goal scorer in Liga MX, but is also has scored more goals than 2/3 of the league have.
Yeah.
And of course, where we want to welcome Daniel Preciado, who joins us from Escondido, or is it Escondido in California?
Well, I guess it depends on who you ask.
Yeah. Well, I'm asking you.
I say Escondido mostly.
Escondido? All right.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
That's what most of us say. Yeah.
We'll go with it. Well, Dan, how are you, sir?
Obviously, I'm doing great.
Did you enjoy the Goal Fest?
Believe it or not, I was on the road. I caught the second half, which was clearly the less exciting half.
Sure.
But no, I did get a chance to watch it, and yeah, no, I mean, what can I say? I'm thrilled. The team. I just don't want to get too excited, but the team and Leon, when they've lost, they've really lost.
If you're gonna go down hard, yes, they.
Yeah, I don't want to look too much into this match.
So your
second place is nice though, man.
No era para poner las campanas al aire, is what you're saying. You keeping your feet on the ground.
I'm trying to, man. It's difficult,
but still reaching for the stars.
When they're clicking like that, man, you get a little excited. It's hard not.
So when they click like that, do you exercise more, you eat better, and you want to say, you know what, I want to get in the medium jersey, and then you really like, we need to put on the. I need to get a clip of the Rocky IV. But of course, I guess we could always, since it is Dan, we could, give him the. As you're getting ready, because you're having a good season. But you're like, man, that medium shirt is my goal. The trophy in the medium shirt.
I mostly look okay in it right now. I got a little bit. I'm a little soft, so it's a little bit tight all over. The tightness around the shoulders doesn't look too bad. It's around the belly,
Right.
where
So
when I forget and relax.
In situations where, let's say that the opposite is happening to Santos, and they're not, I'll just say the opposite is happening. That you digress into just drinking more beer and eating just worse food, have a big dark cloud over you, and it's like
I started you could just picture me like lying eating
Right.
a hamburger on the couch,
right.
wiping my greasy fingers on the couch, rocking my
Right.
extra large,
Opening your beer with either your teeth or your eyelid because you're too lazy to grab the bottle opener.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm probably wearing my extra large Santos jersey with that's signed by El Homie.
Oh, dude, why just settle for extra large when you can go for the real prize?
If you were to see this one though, this is no ordinary extra large. This was a. I'm trying to remember what was the shirt the manufacturer back then.
Was it Atletica?
Yes, and it's big. I mean, it's like a moo. That song's playing in the back of my head as I'm like struggling to get those last extra fries down my throat. Come on, finish it.
That's right.
Just
do it
some
for
injections.
Do it for Jerez.
Yeah.
Well, you should be very excited. I mean, they've obviously played well, and now I do want to make a correction. Last week I had mentioned on the show here. I thought that Tavares was Portuguese, but he's from the Cape Verde Islands, which I did not realize were actually competing independently in the in the African nations, or at least in the CAF.
You made me do some Wikipedia research. After you said that, I was like, really? And then I came to see the same thing. But
but I thought that he was, for some reason I had in my head that he was eligible for Portugal, but I guess I got But they were a satellite nation at one point, so it's not like we were crazy.
Totally.
Yes, but if you're Osorio, is he eligible for?
No, because he's played for the Cape Verde. He's made a senior.
Has he played? I know, but Cape Verde, do they even play official games?
Yes, they do. They participated in World Cup qualification this last time.
African's Cup probably. But he's great though. But it's a shame that you don't even get to see him.
He wasn't that well last season, and then he spurts on the scene today or this season.
He was decent. He wasn't up to this.
I think everything's.
No, he did to Leon what I think Joel was thinking he was going to do to Chivas, although he did. Score a really good goal against Chivas to ice that game.
Yeah, no, I knew he was going to score against the Coats. I was like, the leaky defense, we might as well roll out the welcome home mat for Di Giannini. But I got to ask, I have to ask Dan if he's worried, because it's one thing we've noticed before is that Santos likes to America likes to poach your talent, man. So how much longer can you hold on to Di Giannini before?
It's clear that if he continues to score like this, he'll probably be wearing an America jersey, and if he were Mexican somehow, he'd probably be wearing a Chivas jersey.
I'll put a mask, hit him in the knee, take him out for like a couple weeks. He could recover in time for Liguilla.
Well, I think he's safe now because America's team is looking pretty stacked up front.
They are, but their other strikers, they don't have a player like Di Giannini, man. That's what you want.
Well, he's a unique player in the league. I mean, just his size, athleticism, strength. I mean, and then he's got talent on top of everything. So right now, the way he was playing both sides too, trying to recover, playing defense. He's playing lights out, top to bottom. His finishing also has been nice. I mean, it hasn't just been just regular goals. Some of them have been quite really nice quality finishes. Anything. I mean, I'll be shocked
he has
if
a
he,
very
if,
large range from where he can score goals, and he can score
and
goals.
I'm not sure if he saw, but like just the way
Anyway.
he's able to close spaces, like when he wants to. I mean, during that Leon game, and even against Chivas, I think I thought I saw a couple instances where in open space, all he had to do was poke the ball forward and just completely outsprint everybody else, and he was creating just a ton of chances just doing that. It was, yeah, he was just looking like he was moving at a completely different gear than everybody else. I'm like, man, this dude just looks fierce right now, just vicious. So, yeah, man, I'm pretty excited. But yes, obviously, if he continues to on this ridiculous streak, then he'll probably be poached by one of the more affluent clubs.
Well, then Santos will just get the next one, because they obviously have seemed to have had a really good eye for, they're just one of those teams that does a really good job in picking.
Or America could trade the scientist for Giannini.
Well, he was at Santos way before he was at America, and he was terrific at Santos too.
And they're wanting to dump him to MLS, I think.
They are.
I have heard that too, yeah. He would do great there, I think. Especially because he shines a little bit more individually, so he'll be able to do. I think he'd be able to do some good damage there. And to be honest with you, I'd still welcome him back to Santos. Maybe it's the elevation or something, but maybe I wouldn't mind seeing him come back because he was good for us. I know he's been a bit of a disappointment for Las Águilas, but again, I don't think he's been terrible either. Not as bad as some of our fellow podcasters would make out to be.
Inconsistent.
Yeah, very inconsistent. I just think about my dad. I mean, he's probably the biggest S-talker of them all when it comes to these ex-Santos players playing for his team. Every time they miss, like you'll hear like just passive-aggressive comment, or even not so passive.
Oh, that's right. He said he like just that what would you expect from an ex-Santos player? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's like this is no, nunca la hacen en América. Those kind of commentaries that it's too big of a club, which I don't think that's what it is, but
the pressure. It sounds like Ronald. The pressure gets to them, and they can't handle the media, and they cry to their mothers.
You think that's what's keeping Darwin down is the pressure?
That's Ronald. Ronald has said that before. And the theory is, with a big club like America, people go there, and all of a sudden the spotlight's on them, and they're under the microscope for every little move they make, and they can't handle it.
I'm not the one saying that, John. I'm just Beto. I'm just the one repeating what other players have said.
I mean, Darwin himself and Ronnie De Luna joins us on the podcast. But Darwin himself even said that he had just a ridiculous time adjusting even to Mexico City itself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's been uncomfortable at Chivas from the get-go, and he's never. I'm sorry, not Chivas. At America, he's never been able to find any kind of comfort there, and it's been obvious that he just hasn't played well there. And I'm surprised that they've held on to him this long. Someone need to check the fire alarm there, boys. Is a battery down on somebody's fire alarm?
Yep. No. Someone needs a new 9-volt.
I heard it.
So, but the other thing that's pretty obvious right now is that, frankly, America just doesn't even need him at this point with the way that they've been playing. And
with the acquisition of, how do you say it, Jeremy?
That's right. There's no longer a Frenchman, just one French. Now there's another Frenchman who is trying to steal the French spotlight. And he
is this why they scheduled, or they're scheduling that PSG friendly?
Who is America?
Yeah, I heard that today.
Are they playing it in the States or in Mexico?
I don't know. I'm assuming probably in the States.
It could be a shirt sponsor thing, you know. I think PSG wears a Nike jersey, if I'm not mistaken. Or
Yes, that's correct.
I think.
Yeah,
normally,
I'm sure it's one of the reasons why Neymar went there too.
Oh, Brazil, Nike, and all that type of stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that that had something to do with it.
So, do you guys think that going back to the conversation that we were having, do you guys think that it's because I'm not saying that America isn't a big club. It is. It's the biggest in Mexico. But is that sentiment widely accepted?
That it's a big club?
Because I kind of feel like some
I've
actually kind of undervalued it.
It's the biggest club in Mexico. I mean, there's no question.
Yeah, no, I'm not questioning that either.
I've never seen a team reach a final and be in a crisis, and that's America. I mean, it's.
I'm just talking about from the foreigner's perspective. Does everybody view the team to be like this end all be all thing, like Benedetto, for instance? It is a bit curious. So you don't think that is it the size of the club, or is it more just circumstantial?
I think it's the size, and it's just the amount of media that comes with it.
Because what was that one coach you guys had for a while? That dude like laughed at it. Laughed at this grandeur of America.
Oh, it was
Was it Ramon Diaz? No.
Yeah, Pelado Diaz.
Yeah, Ramon Diaz. Yeah.
I mean, that dude was smug and just like,
and he lasted
totally
like
dismissed
weeks.
it.
Well, I mean, Ramon Diaz and even Coco Basile and stuff like that. You could tell even that the press even got to them.
Well, I think that what happens with them, I think that they underestimate the pressure and the
they think that they're going to be
attention.
here. It's like they think that they come here and they think that everything's going to be, oh yes, teacher, teach me, you know, and they come or they leave with, you know, with a different mentality. It's like, oh man, you know. So it's just different. It really is when you're coaching a team like America.
I mean, you also have to understand that America is in a city that has, you know, it's more populous than the state of Texas.
Yeah.
You know, there's like 25 to 30 million people live in Mexico City alone.
Yeah, the metropolitan area. Yeah, but it's
Ron, you should really get that battery put in your smoke alarm there, buddy.
Dude, it's not me, dude. It's not us.
It's probably one of his restaurants, and he doesn't want to get like fined or something for not keeping his alarms up to code.
Our stuff is hardwired. Our stuff is hardwired, so it's not a battery thing.
They're all hardwired, but they have a battery also.
What's that?
They have a battery backup.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I'm saying the lights are on, so it's like it's not the battery. It's, you know, so it's
are you in a basketball court or something? Somebody shooting hoops?
No.
Man, when I first moved to the first house,
I got different. I do have different speaker, you know, like different speaker headsets, you know, like what is it, the Bose or Bose? I don't know. It could be that.
Well, you know, I'm not going to lie, Ron. With the new headsets, se te quita un poco la soberbia, güey. Just a little bit, no. But back to America right now. I mean, obviously they got their Frenchman, but you know, Martinez been playing well. The Colombian guy who scored those 2 goals is just outstanding. I mean, they took apart a more than decent Morelia team pretty easily. So you know, it's a team that I think, you know, and Ron has even said that they haven't really played their best yet. And now, Ron, I wanted to ask you about Lainez, and Piojo said that, you know, they kind of rushed him, and he threw him back to the U20s. Once you've given a kid like that a taste of playing, I mean, is it worth sending him back to the U20s, or would you rather him?
Well, I'll give you perfect. I mean, Massa, you know, Massa Rodriguez from Chivas, He got sent up in first game in Liga MX. It's when Unam basically obliterated Chivas like 7-1, 8-1 or something like that. And they sent them back to. In fact, I don't even think they sent them back to the 20s. I think they sent them back to what was that team that they had, Tapatio or
Tapatio. That was the second game though. His first game was against
Tapatio B.
So
yeah, I remember that game though.
So obviously, I mean they really thought that.
What was the final score, Joel?
7-1 or 7-0.
Pumas did that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, long time ago. Some people don't remember that anymore, John.
Well, I don't remember that, but
yeah.
that's not. I'm sure you're really, really glad that Ron brought that up.
I still remember Hugo Sanchez. They're already like up by 5 goals, and he's still sending his players on attack.
Oh, and Hugo had a very particular way of celebrating goals too. He had like a very particular motion. So I'm sure like you were getting sick of seeing that motion.
Yeah, man. I was like, it could have already ended the match. Mercy
How interesting rule. that Mexico's greatest player, not even in the twilight of his career ever wore the stripes. He wore America. He even wore Celaya.
He did,
but not once did he wear the stripe. Did he have a problem with Chivas?
Someone did. There's a story behind it, and I just never heard it. But yeah, even as coach, he got turned down for the coaching gig.
Now, Chivas was the victim of his greatest triumph in as a coach when he won his first title.
Oh man.
I'm sorry, Joel. I'm being mean to you. We'll give you. See, when we're being mean to Joel, we need to give you a full Vicente, so you don't.
The full Chente.
The full Chente, so you don't smart as much. It's like putting an ice pack on it. It takes the swelling down.
I still have.
It sounds like a dirty Sanchez. It's like the full Chente.
I still have the Colts doing good at the CONCACAF Champions Cup or League or whatever.
Yeah. Do you feel a trophy? Are they going to make a run at the trophy?
I do, but if they don't, I still feel they're going to put a strong fight for it.
Do you think that they're using the local tournament to get better for the CONCACAF Champions?
No, not using it. It's just the timing, I think by the time it's in full swing, Chivas would have recovered, but it would be too late. Not sure if Tigres is in on it. I think they could pose some trouble there.
Well, let's take a look at that bracket because I know that they get going next week if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's gonna help the season, for the Trouble Chiva fans.
Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
Do you think that Lainez going to the youth tournament, Youth World Cup, hindered his role in America?
I think it did. I mean, to me, why send a kid like that when he has no business? He's already proven, he didn't have to go to that tournament. If you're going to send him anything, send him to a U20. Give him something, to give him a challenge. I mean, he was clearly the best player on the wherever he played, he was clearly the best player.
And even when they played against England, man,
there was no question, absolutely. But
I think that not competing with the first team or not training with the first team and stuff like that hindered his progress. I mean, obviously, retrospect and stuff, but I think he'll bounce back, and some of the guys from Univision Deportes, who know him personally and stuff like that, saying that when they see him and they interview him and stuff like that, he's it hasn't gone to his head. So I mean that's a good sign though.
Right. Now,
Well, getting sent back to the U20s will do that to you.
True, but getting sent to the U20s or the reserve team because of disciplinary matters or whatever. I mean, that's one thing, but I don't know. You have to trust Piojo. I mean, the guy's done he's done things right with America.
We even talked about this, Ronnie. When I think that was the exact question I asked you. I said, where would you? We need to check the videotape. But I think I asked you, what would you rather him do? Go play in that tournament or go or stay? And I think you said he needs to stay. Like,
I'm not 100% because I mean, it is obviously it's awesome to represent your country, but even if I don't honestly I don't recall, but I do think that, like I said, in retrospect, I think that may have hurt him. That he should have been with his team fighting for that first division spot.
There was definitely like a before and after with him after that tournament.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, to me, it's like if you have a kid who's 16, 17, and he's that. I mean, didn't Vela and Giovanni and all those guys, weren't they 17? When they played their first, like they could have played 2 U20s, but they just played the one when they were 17. I mean, that to me is who is a tournament you send a guy like Linus to. I mean, who cares about the U17 if you've already played professionally? Why would you do that?
Yeah, and it's like the kid from Morelia who was the only one with first division experience at the time of the 05 under 17. What was his name?
Ever Guzman.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that because I mean, it's not like he was a consolidated player with Morelia. I mean, but at this time, you can make an argument that Linus was. He was playing quite well and had a good role. He had a role to play. So yeah, I still have hopes for the kid.
Yeah. Now back to the Conca Champions. We'll get to America's bracket because it does start next week. Guadalajara has Cibao of the Dominican Republic. And if they win that, then they'll face either Santa Tecla or Sounders, and that's in the quarters. And then on the top of their bracket, it's Motagua playing Tijuana. That's actually going to be played in Edinburgh, down in the valley next week. And Olympia and New York Red Bulls. So Guadalajara's competition for this bracket are Sounders, Red Bulls, and Tijuana. So I think that you can say that those are all winnable for Chivas to make the final.
Yeah, there's only two rivals that for me, can ruin a trip to the FIFA Clubs World Cup, and that's Tigres and America. But I think they're putting all their marbles in the league title, something they wanted since their centenario, and I think Tigres might not have. They're not doing too good, man. This tournament might be Tuca's saving grace, and
Cheers.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think Tigres might want to go back to the Clubs World Cup again.
Right. No, I mean, I understand that, but I'm saying, but for them, I mean, the final is 50-50. For them to get to the final, those are the teams that they have to.
Yeah, so it's doable, man.
Yeah. So the final, the other bracket now has America playing Saprissa, and then if they win that, they'll play either Tauro or FC Dallas. And then Rapids and Toronto play one game, and Herediano and Tigres are on the other side. So Toronto could play Tigres in the quarterfinals. That one, at this point, I mean, honestly, it's how serious is Tigres? How serious is Toronto going to be? Who knows what's going to happen there?
Hey, sorry to interrupt, but hey, Joel.
Yes, sir.
Maybe about a week ago, I forget his name. The dude, I think he's based out of Miami, Juan Arango or something like that. Reporter. Yes. He posted a link. It was in French regarding an interview with Saprissa's president, and I did the Google translation thing and stuff like that. And did Vergara leave Saprissa with bad books and stuff like that? I mean, was he in the red?
I don't know, because I do know he could have been, because he sold the team back.
Because I was under the impression that the guy was, he turned around the club. They won like 4 or 5 championships, like almost in a row.
Yeah, winning wise, he turned them around. I don't know profit wise how, but I know he sold the team back to a group of investors.
Oh, okay.
Now, was he the one that put the only Costa Rican players? He did that.
Yeah, and I'm gonna return it to you there. They won CONCACAF champions.
I know that they beat Pumas.
Yeah.
Right.
Against Pumas.
That's messed up.
The Purple Dragons.
That was Hugo's.
Purple Dragons.
That was Hugo's low point. I deserve that one. I deserve.
Full circle. It goes full circle.
That's right. That's right.
You would have thought with like all that success they had because they won a couple league titles, 1 or 2, I'm not sure, and then they won that CONCACAF one, and you would have thought that they would have embraced that Ticos only thing, and they didn't, man. As soon as they got the team back, first order of business was to bring a handful of Argentines, and it's like, well, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, well, they actually, so they play America in the Conca Champions coming up. So, that's going to be an interesting bracket. See how that one plays out. I don't necessarily think that America and Tigres are both shoe-ins for the semifinals. I think that it's going to be a much harder obstacle to overcome than people think.
Hey, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a new...
I will correct you if you're wrong, sir.
This is a new edition of the CONCACAF Champions, right?
This is a freshly
new format,
a newly formatted where they're just letting the MLS teams and the Liga MX teams not even play a group stage, so you automatically go to the knockouts, but they've added a round. So instead of having to play, 4 games, and now they're making them play one game that they quote unquote should win. So
it's kind of like similar to like the old Champions Cup, where the Mexican teams mostly they would usually start off in the quarterfinals or something like that.
Either quarters or semis. Yeah, I mean it was pretty late.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be the new form, and then in next month they're going to announce the format for the new CONCACAF League that's going to be coming out.
I still don't see how Mexico would ever agree to that. I
saw the Europe one, and it actually makes sense, and I think that this is what they're going to do. They're going to do group. Well, hang on a second. They're going to do groups of 3.
Yeah.
Right. So there's and when then they do a home and home. So that means that they're going to have 2 free dates to where there's going to be a fecha FIFA, and they can schedule a friendly against whomever they want. That's how it's going to do, because that's what the European League is doing.
Do you think they're still going to able to make the money, the federation?
Well, I mean, they're not going to be able to. Well, what they would do is that they would just schedule moleros that aren't fecha like they used to fecha, which actually, to me, make more sense, because if you're going to play molero, why are you flying Chicharito? Why are you making him travel 26 hours when you can just bring in somebody to try out? So yeah, I do think that they'll still have some games they just won't be fecha FIFA, which to me, if you're going to play a molero, then at least send some guys to see what they can do, and not guys what they can do, especially in the year after the World Cup. I mean they got to find some new blood somehow.
Can you honestly see, or can you see any positive, because it seems like the only ones that are gonna take away from this are the smaller teams from the Caribbean.
Well, and it's gonna, and it's the same in Europe. The way that they've structured it in Europe, I don't know if you saw, Ron, when they announced it, is they have 4 groups of 12 teams each, or it's 16. I forget, maybe it's 16 teams. Whatever it is, or maybe it's 3 of 16 makes more sense. They have Group A, Group B, Group C. Whoever wins that group gets automatically goes to Eurocopa. So they have that to play for. So that's huge for the one, Group A, or the France, Germany, Italy, England, the 12 best.
Yeah.
But they also have promotion and relegation. So if you're 12th in the in Group A, you go down to Group B, and then the first guy that wins Group B gets promoted to Group A. So and then obviously Group C, etc. Group C gets promoted to Group B.
That makes it very interesting, because then if you're a team, it gives you something else to fight for as well. Yeah. Because then you're gonna want to be in Group A if you were one of the top teams that fell. So that's pressure. That's pressure not to, to do good, because you don't want to drop, or if you're, a lower tier team, you want to be in the Group A. You want to be in.
So if CONCACAF follows the same format, then Mexico is going to be playing games against the U.S., against Honduras, against Costa Rica, El Salvador, etc. I mean, now that's if CONCACAF is going to do it that way. There's no guarantee that that's what they're going to do.
I personally didn't mind the hex.
Well, the hex is still going to happen.
Yeah. But it's like, that's what I'm just going to. It's like, we have the hex and stuff like that. We have the World Cup qualifiers, which, believe it or not, I think they're exciting. They're pretty exciting. And especially the last two cycles, it's like, wow, a lot of surprises. But I don't know. It's just this whole League of Nations thing just not convincing me.
Also,
don't forget, Ron.
Go ahead, please.
Oh, I was saying, I was kind of in the same boat, but I think it helps. It helps the region a lot, and we're gonna start seeing more away games in Mexico, because I hated the media, how they would say first win in Tegucigalpa or wherever
in 20 years.
Yeah, in 20 years, and it's like, well, we almost never play there, and same with the Canada one. They made it seem like it was very tough venues, but I do think it's gonna help a lot of the teams from the region to grow and become stronger when we could play more of these games.
You also can't forget that starting in 2026, CONCACAF gets 6 slots.
Yeah, but I mean,
to think of a team like, was it Dan? Who was the Caribbean team that was in Mexico's group of the Gold Cup? The Dutch team.
What was that?
Curacao, right?
Yeah.
Curacao.
Think of a team like Curacao, that just, is a freshly minted national team. This is a big opportunity for them. This League of Nations, and then because I think that they have a really good chance of, of at least making the hex. So the League of Nations for them would be very good. Now,
you talking about Curacao?
I do understand, Ron, you're saying that. Yeah, absolutely. I think they have talent. They were a fun team.
Those games, and they have the potential to be way more competitive than Moleros.
Oh, there's no question. They're going to be more competitive than Moleros.
We feel like we're getting the top. We might be facing Chile or some team, but they always send the reserves, or they're under 23.
Well, it depends. Well, for the Molero, yes, absolutely. But it would be great, honestly, to go to a Jamaican play game. Why not?
It's a battle of minnows, man. No one wants to see that.
Yeah, but but every time Mexico, when was the last time you saw Mexico really golear a team on the road?
They don't play those St. Kitts and Nevis teams anymore.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that they
don't have
they probably still wouldn't in the League of Nations either.
But
they would be playing the Jamaicas and the Salvador and Honduras and Guatemala and all those for sure.
Yeah, those are on a different level. But these Curacao and these island teams, they're going to get demolished. They're going to stay at that level 3.
Well, TNT obviously can hang, and I think Curacao can hang and Jamaica can hang. And then, so those 3 for sure. I agree with you on the other one. Some of the other ones, but if the other ones get to battle it out against among themselves like they do in the League of Nations in Europe, then they know that they're going to have a competitive. It's going to be competitive for them. And yeah. Imagine a team like you said, St. Kitts and Nevis, let's say, that plays 2 World Cup qualifying and then they're done, and then they don't get to play another competitive match for 3 years. Seriously.
No, it's right. Yeah.
But they do have
the Caribbean
like
Cup and this and that.
Just like the Central Americans have what is it, the UNCAF Cup
The
or something like that?
right? Which they're not playing in the U.S.
And they should put up the friendlies. They should have set up some friendlies every now and then. But I think it's a good idea. Just like these lower, like I guess they're in these lower groups are just going to be empty stadium type games, battle of the minnows. And for Mexico, it's going to be like who even cares about all that stuff?
It's like I kind of have to agree with you, Cheekies, because now like this newer generation, all they cares about is Europe, and it seems like they're not going to care about St. Kitts and Nevis and Trinidad and Tobago. And to be fair, it's not like I really did either.
Yeah, but I don't think. I mean, Mexico, out of their 4 games or whatever games, I think they'll play one of those, and the other games they're going to be playing are going to be the Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Canada, etc. So I totally understand where you guys are coming from. You guys are absolutely right. There's the League of Nations. The only way it benefits Mexico is because they get to play some competitive road games. That's it. They get good road experience. Yeah. So that, as Joel says, they don't have to have the news say, "Oh my God, they won on Honduras. It's the first time since 1992," or whatever it is. And you realize they've only they had a 3-game losing streak. So it's the first time in 4 games that they won there. It doesn't sound as dramatic when you say, "Hey, it was they the first win in 4 tries."
Yeah, and the one time we won, they changed the venue. where was,
right?
Because they played 2. Wait, Honduras uses the 2 stadiums, huh? In
Yeah, so in 1993 they played in Tegucigalpa, and it's
that's where we smacked them around.
Yes.
Now with the U.S. obviously in the U.S. Federation with the problems that they're having, I can't see them liking this tournament either. They want to improve, and now with like the new president of the soccer federation, I wonder how long it's going to last. This new tournament. Now, do you think that this new the new president they're going to be a friend to the MFF, to the federation?
What do you think?
I hope so.
I mean, how much? I mean, I have to think, and Rami, you might be correct, but doesn't the U.S. Soccer Federation get a piece of Mexico's games?
Yeah. Any game played, in the United States, the U.S. Soccer Federation gets a cut, and that all depends if it's national or if it's international. Yeah.
And there are arbiters too, right? Because it has to be.
Well, they use Canadians and Salvadorians. No, they don't always use U.S. refs.
I thought for friendlies they had to be.
No, they use. They have the Canadian guys. I've seen the real good ref from El Salvador has come up and done a couple of them. What's that guy's name? Aguilar. He's a good ref. He's a good ref. He's the best ref in the region.
Is he?
Is he good as Geyser?
Yeah, that guy.
As good as who?
Geyser.
Mark Geiger.
Good guy, Geiger.
Mark Geiger had a really good World Cup in Brazil. He repped really well.
I thought he had a good Gold Cup too, man.
He had he did. I got to tell you, that was just I just love the irony of U.S. fans just pissing and moaning about how the CONCACAF referee and this and that, and then like having the ref be an American that does that. It's like, you're right. You're absolutely right. Terrible refereeing. You're absolutely right.
I still don't buy it. You got this big investigation going on, and the investigation's coming out of the U.S. And you really think like a U.S. ref is gonna like throw a match in Mexico's favor? It's just ridiculous, man.
Yeah, it's and besides, there was a one angle from TV Azteca that clearly showed.
Yeah,
that the dude hit the ball with his hand. Like, he hit the ball with he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, that angle never got played.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Somehow that one never made the world feed. Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing.
It was almost as bad as Joel Wiki's, mysterious handball.
WikiLeaks is going to be playing for the new USL Las Vegas team, coached by
Wait, he already
Feliz.
played. I think he's already been playing.
Yeah, did he give up a goal? Has he given up a goal yet?
I don't know, but you know who else is on that team?
There's a bunch. There's the
But it's a really big name player, man.
well, Gerardo Lugo is on that team. Is that who you're thinking of?
No bigger name, dude. The American Messi, dude.
Oh, Freddie Adu.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's still young. He's still he's like 17 years old. So.
No, he must be 23 by now. I think like 23. 23, 24. Oh, okay. He started at 13, man.
So Freddie Du's on that team.
There's another guy on that team that Mexican guy, isn't there?
There's quite a few Mexican players on that team actually, but I know the ones that stuck out for me were Gerardo Lugo and WikiLeaks. Who would? Did he make the Germany 06 roster? Do we have was there a Wiki on that team or
Wiki did make
or he took Claudio Suarez instead of Wiki. I have more faith and confidence in a 40-year-old sweeper for Chivas USA than I have in my young 25, 26-year-old starter for Cruz Azul.
I don't remember. Did Wiki make the 2006 or 2010?
No, it was 2006.
2006. Okay, I don't remember.
Yeah, because he was in that he was in the Molero Gold Cup, and he played a few of the he played a few of the qualifiers. Maybe the ones after they'd already qualified. So he was definitely in the picture. That's my favorite nickname ever.
Who was? I think Ron knows this one because he saw the Where Are They Now special.
Yes.
It's this one Mexican. I forget the name, and I saw some of the clips. It was this Mexican player. He ended up playing in Guatemala's second division.
Yeah, Alejandro Nava.
And he would get a ride to the stadium in back of someone's pickup truck.
How do you go from playing with Chivas? Because he played with Chivas, and then he left Chivas, and then Manuel Lapuente tried to revive his career in America. This is around 2002. I mean, the guy hit rock bottom, dude. I mean, he said that Omar Bravo took his job.
Hit such rock bottom that he had to play for America.
He hit rock bottom because he had to go play in the second division in Guatemala.
In Guatemala. Well, doesn't Luis Landin? Isn't he going to play? Doesn't he play for Herediano right now? Or so he's going up against Tigres.
But that's a little bit more respectable.
That doesn't compare to getting a ride on the back of a pickup truck. You're playing in a dirt field.
And after the game, you have to clear out because there's going to be a jaripeo, in the same the same stadium, So
and those are the experiences that Mexico is going to have in the new CONCACAF League of Nations. They're going to play. See, and if I were El Salvador, I would say, normally we play at Tecuscatán. Today we're going to play at the. At one of the stadiums that I think even what was the name of the coach, de Los Cobos?
Yeah, de Los Cobos.
Said that he practically had to hire a Sherpa to get into the stadium to navigate. It was just really, really hard to get to some of those stadiums. That's where El Salvador should play Mexico.
Just they're off the grid stadium.
Yeah, how fun would that be?
It'd be a laughing stock.
Nah, I seen Mexico play a World Cup qualifier. It was one of the Caribbean, and they didn't even have stands.
I remember one year
it was just a field.
In 1993 or 1992, that's exactly what they just put on a practice field, and they won 10-0. I mean, it was it's like how on earth can this even be?
Yeah, it looked like a practice game. It didn't really look like That's crazy, but that'd be awesome if you're the panadero or the taxista and you're in that team's national team, in the country's national team, and you get to play actual World Cup qualifying.
You know, if CONCACAF was smart, if they were going to do a League of Nations, then instead of doing the Copa America Centenario, you know, that way they can have the Copa America, right? And CONCACAF can have the Gold Cup. But the League of Nations is when they should rope in the South American teams.
You mean a combined?
Yes.
Oh.
Then you would exclude all the South American, Central American, or not South American.
No,
Central.
because then
it's by division.
The same way as the European. You take 48 teams or 30, whatever it is, and you tier it. That way, instead of Mexico going to Costa Rica, they go to Argentina.
See, all this stuff is cringe, man. Like Mexico playing in all these and stuff is okay. But like South American, Argentina is not going to want to do that.
But the point is, Chiquis, is they're going to have no choice. They're going to have no choice.
Oh, I don't think that'll happen. I think something will change.
They're going to have, at least for this next run, they're not going to have a choice. I mean, they have to do this League of Nations. They don't have anybody else to play against.
League of Nations, the way it says on the website, it sounds like there's different groups, and so all these like scrub teams are going to be playing amongst each other unless Mexico or US do really bad and they get bumped out of their first group,
which would never happen.
Okay, so Mexico is going to be playing US over and over, or Honduras and all this.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They play the top six or eight teams, but if they include the South American teams, then things get a little different.
Okay,
right?
So then it'll be exactly the same as America. And then you'd have these other meaningless games between.
Exactly, that's the whole point. If you're going to play a meaningless game, would you rather play a meaningless game against El Salvador, or would you rather play a meaningless game against, I don't know, Brazil? In Brazil, where would you? What meaningless game would you rather play?
Okay, yeah, of course, the Brazil. So
right. So if they're going to do this League of Nations things, then that to me is, and then you spread it out over 2 or 3. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Al, they're asking if you have the phone line set up.
Oh, you can do that right now.
We did tease that we might have callers.
Firm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should suggest that to our friends at CONCACAF. Hey, if you're gonna do League of Nations, why don't you throw in CONMEBOL too?
Well,
how great would that be? Now, Ron, would that change your mind about the League of Nations for CONCACAF if they combine it with CONMEBOL?
Nah.
I mean, if you're going to play a meaningless friendly, which is what it is, it's a friendly tournament. What's that tournament that Argentina plays between seasons?
Torneo de Verano.
Torneo de Verano. Was like 4 teams or whatever it is.
Something like that, yeah.
It's essentially meaningless. It's competitive, but it's essentially meaningless, right?
No, the League of Nations is to decide who gets to go to the Gold Cup, and also the seeding or the ranking for seeds to the CONCACAF qualifier, World Cup qualifiers.
Okay,
that's what the website says.
Right.
So they're not really. I mean, they're important games. It appears to be.
But but it's going to be important. It's going to be important for the lower groups.
Yeah.
Mexico's going to go to the Gold Cup regardless. Right.
So they don't have to qualify. Who wants to call? Or who wants to call in, Juan?
From the Yahoo chat.
Oh, okay.
Los amiguis.
We have a separate chat. Oh, they mean the YouTube chat. We have a separate chat.
Oh, the Google chat.
Joel, do we have any questions from the folks on the chat?
Yes, to put on the lines.
That's it.
Put the phone lines, man.
To get the phone lines up and running.
See,
I can just see Chiquis just like madly patching these cords, and there's little patch cable there to
I picture him.
Get it going.
I picture him like the phone ladies. They would have to plug and unplug stuff.
Somebody did ask earlier. We need to talk a little bit about Pachuca, which we're happy to do. They obviously have gotten it going again, and I have noticed. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but the Japanese player Honda has been getting a lot more playing time, and he's played well. He's helped them out. They just have no defense though.
Yes, qué onda.
So
they're in sixth place. So, I mean, I think they're in playoff contention.
They did beat Tijuana. So maybe they're getting now. They did lose, unfortunately, their goal scorer, a person who Osorio never looked at, who was the leading Mexican goal scorer in Liga MX, and got a couple of goals at the Club World Cup. Whose name is eluding me. It was a former Chiva that scored the game winner against Monterrey. Joel, help me out. Give me the name. What's the guy's name?
Jonathan Gonzalez?
No, the guy that just got hurt for Pachuca, the goal scorer, the midfielder. That was a former Chiva. You guys are killing me. He was the leading Mexican goal scorer. He got called up, but he got hurt that weekend. Blew his knee out.
Oh man, the name eludes me too. We have one job, man.
Wow, I can't believe that the name has slipped my mind. Victor Guzman, thank you on the chat. Thank you. Of course, Victor Guzman, the former Chiva. He scored the game winner against Monterrey in the final.
Nos van a quitar la chamba, güey.
I am embarrassed for all of us. We're supposed to be like this group of folks that know this stuff, and not one of us knew that name. And frankly, this goes for every single one of us on here. I mean, that is just unfortunate.
Levels, man.
That is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Exactly.
All right, so Pachuca travels away to Chivas, which I could see this game going either way. And then they go up against a León. They host León, who León's been, man, their defense has been horrible.
Yeah. It has been. It's they've given up
and then
a bushel.
You know how Cruz Azul had 3 home games? Well, Pachuca's gonna have 3 road games.
Oof.
In a row, yes, to Toluca, Cruz Azul, and Necaxa, which are I think they match up pretty even, all those teams. Yeah, man, they have a tricky schedule.
At the end of the day, do you think that between Pachuca and Chivas, who makes the league?
I would favor the Tuzos, man. Especially if they take points from Chiverio. Even if they take a draw from next week, that would mean Chivas already lost 10 points at home.
Wow, that's a lot of points to lose at home.
Yeah, to make them up on the road, it's even very difficult.
Do you think Chivas plays better on the road than they do at home?
I don't know. I think they always play the same. I just think teams have figured them out where it's like they just let Chivas attack, because they're one of the teams that I think that has the more shots or the most chances. Doesn't mean that they're good chances or good shots, but I do feel like a lot of teams just let them take the initiative, knowing they could burn them on a counter.
Right. Because they don't have the strongest central. Now I did notice that Alanis did make the start. He finally returned to the starting lineup. So I guess his confinement expired, and he was able to be allowed to go back to playing.
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to get going, but I just wanted to, before I leave, sorry to interrupt, John.
Yes.
That America plays Veracruz next weekend at the famous Pirata Fuente Stadium.
Yes.
So, what do you guys think?
On a nice, cool afternoon, beautiful afternoon.
Yeah.
Like that one.
You know exactly where I'm going to.
That one long ago. A camel's hump.
Yeah. Dude, there's if you guys are keeping up with the David Faitelson tweets, then now they're getting there are other accounts with like David el Estúpido, because of that little, spat, between
Oh,
Bud
that's
Lights.
right. Yeah.
There are even cartoons of Cuauhtémoc Blanco hitting David Michaels. Dude, these guys are getting too creative, man. It's hilarious. But yeah, just wanted to throw that one in there.
Well, Ron, do you feel better about your? Before you go, you feel better about your America?
I said, I think that right now they're still at least a semifinalist. A club. I just there's a certain thing that for me that it's like it's still not clicking.
So they don't deserve the just yet, not yet.
Not yet.
They're still they're still doing with the other one. They're still they still haven't escaped this yet. This is the Centenario song.
You're putting too much pressure.
For example, the game against Tigres. Tactically, America was the better team that game. And they should have come up with that team, or they should have come up with that game, winning. But it just seems like they're still making certain mistakes that they should not be making, and I still see that between the midfield and the attack, it's sometimes they're just they're either like I'll give you an example. I still think that William da Silva, it's like when he's going up to, when he's attacking, he'll either pause or he'll just go right at it without looking at what's in front of him and stuff like that. And I think he's a good player, but I still don't see that certain players are clicking with each other yet.
Well, what I've noticed about America now, and especially in the Red, is that they don't have. Well, I know when they had Sambo, and Sambo was a go-to guy, but he wasn't a guy that could get you a goal, when you desperately needed it. He just wasn't that kind of player. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, he was an outstanding player, but he just was never. He might serve it up, but he wasn't actually going to be the guy that scored it for you. Well, what America, to me, what they lack right now is that one guy that can come on and get you that, get you a goal when you need it. A guy that is just a proven clutch guy for them. Now I know that Uribe has had that role in the past, and he's done it a little for America, but he hasn't really shown up when they absolutely have to have it. I think that is their one missing piece right now, is that they don't have a guy that can get it for them when they absolutely have to have it.
Yeah, multiple guys that are there though. So
they're the guys that could potentially be that guy, but they haven't shown enough of that person yet.
Right, but you're right, Chiquis. But like for example, it's like Martin is hot a couple games, and then it's like same thing with Oribe, same thing with what's his name, Cecilio Dominguez. It's like I'd like to see a little bit more consistency. I'd like to see them, when they're building up in the attacks. On the counterattacks, I think they're fabulous. I think they're a really great counterattacking team. But but what worries me is if a team scores first, like in Tigres, it's when you're building the attack. It seems like there's a lapse between recuperating the ball and then going into the attack, and it's like the term that they use is the revolucionado, or that the player is it's not in gears. It's either two.
So could it be wrong that the defenders when they dispossess are more because the counterattack has been successful, that they're more concerned with just pushing the ball upfield as quickly as possible, in hopes that one of their fast forwards might fall, underneath it and take it. So there's just no connection between the defenders and the midfield. Whereas other teams, when they dispossess, like their first thing to do, okay, we've dispossessed, now let's keep it. Let's here's a dinky little pass to my other defender. Let's keep it for a while and then work our way up.
I see that. I do see that sometimes with America. It's like okay, boom, they recuperate the ball and they recuperate in good field, and rather than pacing and seeing what's around and stuff like that, they'll just boom, they'll hit it forward, and it's like
that's their style.
Like I said, when they're countering and they have the lead, or they have the game, when they're winning 1-0 or 2-0, or even they're tied and stuff like that, I think they're a great team. It's when they're down, or that bothers me is because somehow I'm still not convinced that they can create when they need to.
If only they had a player who's shown ability to do
players
that.
are new. Also, they got Corona there. Menace is new. All the players are pretty much almost new.
Yeah, I know. Again, I shouldn't be complaining. I mean, they're top. They're top of the standings right now, but that can change. That can change. I mean, in two match days.
Ronnie's rant. I know.
In two match days, they could be in sixth place. With the league right now.
I think they're going to go nothing but up.
As they get,
and I mean, they're already in first place. They don't have much further to go.
Yeah,
I mean, they played Pachuca. They played Pachuca. They played Pumas. Okay, they tied it with Tigres. They tied with Pumas. I think they played better. I think they should have come out of Tigres against the Tigres game with a win. I think so. I think that they were a better team.
Did you cancel your subscription to How to Be a Self-Loathing Club Fan from Joel, or you? Because I do remember you were asking for pointers at the beginning of last season. So are you?
That's because I wanted to be in the Daily Goat.
Okay. So you're not quite at the point of watching America games with a cat o' nine tails whipping your back like Opus Dei to be angry, to punish yourself for liking America. I can't like him. You're not quite there yet.
You know what? I love the team, dude. I love the club, but I still, believe it or not, there's still a part of me. Like I loved the team in 2013.
Right.
Okay. These teams, dude. There's just for me. It's just there's too many foreigners, and I do have a problem with that. I mean, I'll still support them. I still cheer their goals and stuff like that, but still, I'd like to see more players from the youth academy, and I'd like to see more, Mexican players in the team. So it's like for some reason, I don't know. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I still haven't invested myself fully, with the club. It's like,
You need to be a Chivas fan then, or a Pachuca fan.
What's that?
You need to be a Chivas fan or a Pachuca fan then.
Nah. I just think that the league needs to get their act together in terms of, foreigners and stuff like that.
So you differ from one of our other friends on the Twitterverse that America can have all the foreigners they want as long as they're high quality foreigners, high paid foreigners that are worth it.
Nah. No.
I think that essence is getting lost,
It is.
Of wanting to have players from the city, from the cantera, that grew up going to the, just going to the stadium or just around that whole ambience. And it's just getting lost. And I know with newer fans, it's even more lost because it's just, they like watching more international Champions League and Euro Cup, stuff like that.
I mean, I was watching the Olympics tonight, right? And there was some guy who was wearing the Canadian flag and all this other stuff, and he was Dutch. He was born in Holland. He had a Canadian dad. Spent his entire life in the Dutch speed skating system. Obviously, couldn't cut it with them, so he goes to Canada, and then in a year, is eligible to skate for Canada at the Olympics.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's no. It seems like the.
But I bet if you talk to you just to finish my point, I bet if you talk to a lot of like Manchester United fans, I bet they'll tell you one of their favorite team was, I think it was the '99 team, and they had a lot of canteranos and some of the players.
Canteranos from Manchester.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean that made them even that more special.
Yeah,
and now you go at Zlatan, you go at all these other dudes. It's just not the same though.
Yeah, like when you watch it, I think it's still on Netflix. The class of what is it, '92? I think that's what it was. It talks about the Manchester team and how that team was the base of that '99 Manchester team.
Yeah,
and it's like I don't know. It's just I don't invest myself. I don't invest myself that much in the club, and part of it is because I just don't like. And this is not just on America. I think this is just Liga MX in general, without obviously the exception is Chivas because of their policy, but it's like it's starting to become too cookie cutter, you know, in the sense that it's like we don't need to be Europe. We don't need to be one of those European leagues that you have to have stars in every position and stuff like that. It's like when Arsenal went to the Champions League with 10 non-English people.
Well, their last championship they won. They didn't start a single Englishman.
Yeah,
in 2004.
And when was the last time, like for example, an Englishman won the Premiership?
What do you mean an Englishman? An English coach?
Yeah, an English coach.
Oh,
you have to think about it,
wow.
don't you? I mean,
yeah.
Well, Fergie's Scottish.
Yeah, he is Scottish. You're right.
But as far as an Englishman, and it's like, and I always think of that conversation when I had with the English dude over there in Johannesburg about the English league. That's like it's no longer English, and it's like you could see like that like how Hoyle loathes at Chivas. You could sense that. you could, and it's like. I'm like, sometimes I'm like having myself like, okay, I can't even watch the league sometimes. It's like, because it's like, I'm not that much excited anymore about it.
It's very unfortunate, and I understand your point completely. It's just,
and you've made that point many times too, John, about what the hell is Pumas doing? They, for 30, 40 plus years, they were known as Mexico's,
right. And funny you mentioned that. I think one of the reasons why Pumas has done well this season is now they're not using quote unquote canteranos, but they are using players that came from Pumas. The Barreras, the Barranquins, and some other guys, and their coach is an ex Puma, and they're playing a system and a style of play that these guys have played their entire careers. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out why it is that Pumas is playing well. They play the 4-4-1-1. They have the one kind of shifty, quick little forward, and then they have the the bigger target guy, and it works for them. And they have the the guys that it's been working for them. And yeah, it's like this is what you need to do.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because. I think you guys touched up on this last week or the week before about the possibility of Liga MX dropping the ascenso or dropping promotion relegation.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Now, my thing with that is, I mean, if Mexico can have 40 fully autonomous, organizations, or 38 fully autonomous organizations. Okay, I would be okay with, or like if they couldn't have 38 fully autonomous, clubs, I would be okay with suspending promotion relegation. But, for certain things that I've read and stuff like that, it's like, it seems like they're going to do it because they want the NFL franchise model completely. And I think with that, I know that that's going to happen. But I'm just wondering if it's going to be to the point where the clubs are just not going to have losing the identity of the clubs.
Well, it depends on what they mean by the NFL franchise model. I mean, every NFL franchise has an identity, but they aggregate a lot of. The reason the NFL is so successful is because they aggregate everything. I mean, not one team gets, as far as television revenue or, properties revenue, whatever it is, they split that 32 ways. Now there's some stuff where they can, make some money on their own locally.
Yeah.
But the thing that the Liga MX does not have that the MLS had or anyone else has is that, when they expand, MLS charges, whatever their fee is, $100 million or whatever.
Yeah, it's more than that, but yeah, it's a huge lump sum.
It's pretty staggering.
Yeah.
There's not one team in Liga MX that would pay that to get into Liga MX, or one team that's in the Ascenso that would pay a number that high to get into that. And if that's how they want to go with the franchising. Now, I do think that if the day came, and I think that it's very possible that it's going to happen, they would have to expand the league, not contract it, and then they would have to bring in the Tampicos and the.
I heard that they were going to do that, John. They were going to add like 4 teams from, and I think it's Atlante and. But I heard the names. San Luis.
But this is the point that I was trying to make with the franchise model. Obviously, these guys want assurances that their team is not going to be, in the second or third division, right?
Right.
So obviously, they're going to do things their way, and they want full control. So it's like, screw the fans. We're, like one of the things like that you've kind of seen here in Philadelphia with the union is that there's a pretty big huge disconnect between the fans and the front office. In fact, they even had a couple, not a protest, but they had a, what is it, the Sons of Ben or whatever. They were basically protesting the front office, and you're starting to see that disconnect between the club and the fans, and I'm just afraid that you're really going to start to see that in League MX.
I thought about that, Ron, and I was going through some of the files at the Citadel.
Yeah.
And,
Wait. What's Citadel?
I can't talk about that Citadel,
Jeez.
man. It's a private Citadel I have. It's not Ron's. I haven't had access to that one.
No, so it's not really a Citadel then. It's just like
Is it next to the other?
Well, that's the bigger
stash
Citadel
with the bottle of Jergens?
Yeah.
Or is it the West Coast? Is it the West Coast Citadel?
Yeah, the West Coast Citadel. There's a mini Citadel. And so back in I think it was 2005, 11 of the 18 Liga MX teams had an affiliate, second division, which was Primera B back then, team. For the most part, there really wasn't like a relegation. Because they would just have whatever team went up that wasn't affiliate, they would just buy it. The franchise would just get bought, which Veracruz did for the most part. I don't know if
Puebla
did.
did.
So
I would have to go to my Citadel, Joel, because Fútbol Total actually had a really good article, great article actually, going back from '94 when Primera A was established and I think this was in 2005 when they wrote it. So I had to check, but it gave basically all the teams that played in Primera A, which all the teams that got that won promotion, and the ones that went relegation.
Yeah, and
sorry, I'm hitting the wrong buttons. Please continue.
So it's like, yes, something has to get done with promotion and relegation. Excuse me. Suspending it, I don't know if that's really the right thing to do, but ending it, I think it's the wrong thing to do.
Well, I mean, like you said, I mean, as long as they have a healthy, competitive second division where they have, then and I think they can certainly do that. I think that there has to be, that's where the federation comes in. I think the federation has to identify folks to do that.
And you know what? Like in my Citadel files, I actually found something written by Ronnie. And it was on the whole Tampico Madero.
Yeah.
And you talked about how they invested all this money on the team, and they reached 2 finals.
Yeah. I thought you were going to talk about the
Ritas.
No, about the. No, it actually wasn't Tampico. It was Watt, that the dean of the school, or the potro, whatever. the team was going to play America, so he suited himself up.
That is fantastic.
We have a caller. I just now noticed.
Okay.
Over. Now the Watt was the
Los Correcaminos, yeah.
Right. Did you say we had a caller, Chiquis?
Yeah, from was it Fort Worth area?
Patch it in, man.
Hey, yeah, we can hear you.
Hear me?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. No, I'm from Dallas.
Who's calling us from Dallas? This is...
Y yo por Detroit.
Yeah.
Your name, sir?
Eric.
Eric, you've called us before, right?
Yeah, once.
Once, okay. Well, what is your question or comment, sir?
If I talk slow and stop, it's because there's an echo on my phone, so that's why.
Well, what is your question or comment?
I was just wanting to ask you. I know there's particular, or they're going to expand the World Cup in 2022 or not 2026. And one of the things we're thinking about is combining the CONCACAF and CONMEBOL qualification. And I just want to know what you guys would think of it. Just collaborate with both federations, just made one unified America's federation. Because, personally, it just kind of bugs me that they just have separate. Because I feel like that's what kind of brings the, not to say that Mexico and U.S. level of play isn't that good, but I do feel like if that kind of brings it down, you don't get to play or don't have the pressure of having to qualify against teams like in South America.
Well, I'll tell you, if that did happen, and I hadn't heard that rumor, but if that did happen, that would really screw the teams in CONCACAF that thought they finally had a chance to play in a World Cup, because those teams would.
I think there's only two reasons why CONCACAF exists right now. The one is the money that the U.S. and Mexico gets from just the Gold Cup and just the TV rights. I think they get a lot of money from that. That's why they're kind of hesitant to merge with CONMEBOL. But also it's just the supposed easy World Cup qualification. Obviously that they kind of screwed up the U.S. But
understand also that the big voting block of CONCACAF are the Caribbean teams. I mean, they pretty much run CONCACAF. So are they more worried about making money, or are they more worried about giving their teams a shot at qualifying the World Cup? I mean, that's going to be the question that's going to be answered when and if they make this decision. Because if they care about their teams, then they'll just do their own. They'll do their own tournament, and that way they have the Jamaicas and the TNTs and the Curaçaos and the Haitis have a better chance of qualifying for World Cup because there's more spots. But if they combine with CONMEBOL say that there's going to be 12 spots available, well, that means that there's going to be maybe 8 or 9 spots won by the South American teams, and the rest go to CONCACAF where they won't be as competitive at all. So that's something definitely for us to keep an eye on, and we do thank you for the call.
European team.
What was that?
Could you repeat what you said?
Yeah, I just feel like also they gave too many spots to European teams. It was at the obviously because that there's more revenue in the market, but it just feels I also feel like people think it'll be harder for CONCACAF teams, but not all CONMEBOL teams are that powerful, that great. I mean,
well, the way that tournament's going to work is, if they have 48 teams, right? So those are going to be 16 European teams or more,
or Paraguay.
Yeah. So the way that the 48 team World Cup, they're going to have 3 groups or 16 groups of 3. So essentially, the World Cup doesn't really start until they get to the round of 32, because Germany is going to have a group where they play. I'm just throwing names out there. I'm going to say Costa Rica and Vietnam, right? And then the top 2 teams are going to advance into the round of 32, and then that's where the tournament starts. So if you get eliminated, and again, in my opinion, what the 48 team World Cup is doing is that it's giving teams that have never had an opportunity to play in the World Cup, they're going to have an opportunity to play in a World Cup. They're not going to advance beyond the group stage, but they're going to say that they played in the World Cup. That's what the 48 team World Cup does.
I want to add to that too, John.
Please add to it, Joel.
Do you want to get into these markets where there's a lot of like India and China, where there's a lot of money to be made.
Thailand.
But their teams never make it.
Right.
So at least this time, they could bring in all that sponsorship from those countries.
Exactly.
Even if they just play 2 games, but they're gonna be there.
Right. And that's and again, so then the real tournament starts at the round of 32, and that's when the draw is going to be really interesting to see how they set that up. Ronnie, or did you Ronnie, you have anything else to say before you said you were going to leave us like half an hour ago?
Yes.
So I just want to make sure that you're gonna you're like that guest that never leaves. We're like, dude.
All right, I'm leaving now. I'm leaving.
It's like dude, you stretch. Oh man, I'm really tired. It's time to go to bed. Oh my god, I'm still here.
All right, guys. You guys have a good night.
Take it easy, Ron.
Yep.
I got one comment.
I thought he would never leave. No, just kidding.
Before I go, I also want to ask you guys something real quick. I know one of you guys mentioned before that the Liga MX tried to expand to the U.S. before, during the 70s or 80s. I tried to look that up. I couldn't find anything. I mean, I don't know if you guys should elaborate on that.
Well, I'll say what I know, and it was actually some investors that wanted to have a team in Los Angeles, and but they couldn't get you had the North American Soccer League back then, so they couldn't get the approved, to for an expansion team. So they did try, and that same people, I think it was Doctor de la Peña of de la Peña Eye Clinics, if you're from the LA area, and he ended up investing in Celaya, which were briefly in first division.
That Doctor de la Peña and Fred Loya from Fred Loya Insurance might be the same guy.
I don't know, man. But yeah,
you find that out because I tried looking it up myself, I just can't find anything.
Man, this was me being old, man, and reading La Opinión way back in the early '90s, man. It's yeah, that was the main thing, though. It was because and then after MLS, not MLS, NASL folded, but they already had the plans for MLS, so that's why they weren't gonna allow Liga MX to have a what happened?
I'm sorry. No, keep going.
Yeah, when they folded and when the US got the World Cup rights, it was under the condition that they have a first division team. So the plans for MLS were already there, even though it didn't come to '96. But because they knew they were going to start a league, that was the other reason why they weren't allowing an expansion team, a Liga MX team here. But it was investors from here.
LA? Was it going to be in LA?
Yeah, Los Angeles and San Diego were the 2 venues that were talked about.
I'm still baffled as to how there's Canadian teams in MLS, but okay.
No, that's all the questions I had, though. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Hey, well, we appreciate the call, man. Thanks for calling and thanks for being
podcast. Keep it up.
Well, we appreciate that, and thanks for being a supporter of the show. That was Eric from the Dallas-Fort Worth area who called in. Of course, anyone else can call in. Chicas, did you post the number on the chat to call in?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. Well, hopefully we'll have another caller before we step off. But it was funny what Ron was mentioning about Pumas. I want to touch back on because I know that we did start the show talking Pumas, so we might as well end the show talking Pumas, as one should here on the CantinaMX podcast. But because of the fact that David Patiño was he's a Canterano himself. Played at Pumas, was a national team player. Should have gone to the World Cup in '94, but got injured. I mean, he was. He was that position. He was the conductor of that team. He was, kind of like the Guardado of the era back then, playing that, box to box midfielder type, where the play started at his feet. But I do firmly believe that he just got the players to play back to where they're most comfortable and what they grew up playing, which is the Bora Pumas 4-4-1-1 style. And it has obviously paid off for them, and hopefully they'll be able to keep it up, and hopefully they can start in incorporating some of the youngsters. Like so, Pumas. Yes, it's nice that they have an excellent history, but they do have to get back to doing what they do best, and if they can do that, then they should be okay. Chiquis, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I agree, and I actually sort of I don't know if disagree with what Joel and Ron were saying. I think the youth and the society still has a lot of exciting fans that are dedicated to Mexican clubs in Mexico. Yes, there is the Manchester United and the Europe fans and Real Madrid and all that stuff, but if you're a young kid playing soccer in Mexico, you're going to want to play for your team, whether it be Club America or Cruz Azul or whatever, before thinking about, oh, I want to go to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
The other thing about the European games, that are on TV now. Yeah, they're on TV here, but they were on TV in Mexico. When I was a kid. So it is completely normal to have those games on. Granted, they don't have as many as they had, but they always showed. On any Sunday before they would show the Liga MX games, they always showed the Fútbol Español, Fútbol Italiano. It was always on TV. So it is nothing new for a Mexican kid to grow up watching European soccer.
I think it's the owners and the grasping for any way to make money that is pushing aside these young Mexican players and bringing in the Argentinian and South American players because they want to win. They're desperate to win.
Well, the reality,
titles.
Chiquis, is that Liga MX. They're coming up on a crossroads. They have been dominated for its at least in the modern era since what I would like to call the color TV era, which started with the World Cup in 1970 when they went to the Liguilla format. It's obviously been dominated by Televisa and by the other TV group, whoever it was, Salinas and down the line. But TV, is not as powerful as it once was. Certainly not as powerful as it was in the 70s. And they are looking at other ways to find revenue. And that's one of the reasons why they're knocking around this promotion. Imagine them saying, "Hey, we can get rid of quote unquote promotion relegation, and then the teams that are in the second division, they can pay their way in, and then we split the money." Don't think that they haven't thought about that. So they have to be. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chiquis.
Well, you brought up the money issue, and I think that's a problem. And going to the Pachuca scandal that's been going on, Pachuca's been known as, or recently, as with Eric Gutierrez and these other players, being able to generate some good canteranos, and it's because they have money. And Pumas maybe doesn't have the same finances. Chivas maybe not as much as well, and that's why they're suffering a little bit. So I think the money has a lot to do with it. That maybe Pumas doesn't have the sufficient funds to bring up and train these youth to be first division players.
Yeah, but the vast majority of the monies that they got from the TV contracts.
And that's not there, right?
Right on the whatever the name of our chat is that we have on our Twitter with some of the other folks. I posted that the most expensive ticket for a Pumas game is $20.
Yep.
So they're not making money at the gate. At least, maybe enough to keep the lights on. Seriously, just not that much. But the TV money that they get from Televisa is pretty good. But what's going to happen if Televisa realizes that there's not as much money in Liga MX and they have more competition, or no, I do think a little more competition might be better for the teams than the teams realize. But when two of the teams are owned by the people that they're negotiating to have their image on projected on a electronic device, sooner or later it's going to be a problem, and it almost always is. Disney doesn't own the Rams in the NFL, or they don't own the Bulls. Comcast doesn't own the Cowboys. So But Televisa owns America, and they own FMF.
Yeah. So it's all goes to the money.
Yeah, that's something that said that they're certainly at a crossroads here. Which way are they going to go? Chivas tried to do Chivas TV, which I think was an admirable decision. Obviously their execution was terribly flawed. I don't think anybody doubts that. But I mean, if they were going to go that way, they should have paired up with with an Amazon or with.
That's where the money comes in. Also, they might not.
I mean, even with LTN, we when I do a show, we usually we have ways that we can do transmission. We can transmit with a satellite, which obviously is incredibly expensive. But now we can transmit through what's called LTN, or you can transmit with a live view. So you have options to do that. There's no reason why Chivas couldn't.
They would have to hire and pay somebody money with expertise to do that. Just like
you got to spend money to make money, and Liga MX teams don't spend money to make money.
They don't have money.
They want to make money, and they don't want to spend any.
Exactly. That's why Leon did all the Landon Donovan stuff, and then they didn't have a website to sell his jersey or all kinds of lack of marketing on the web end and stuff like that. Even the Liga MX website isn't fully.
Does Leon even have an English account for fans?
No. Because that's, you have to pay somebody. You have to pay a social media guy to do all that stuff. You have to pay a website admin to set up your.
I'm surprised that Wiso didn't volunteer to do the Leon English, or not volunteer, but maybe he has to put in, because I know what a huge Landon Donovan fan he is, and I'm sure that he would want to.
Yeah.
That he would want to promote Landon as much as possible with
English,
with the Panzas Verdes. Yeah, on the Leon English site. I thought about inviting Wiso to come on so we could have like a cathartic. Kind of like we used to do with Joel when Chivas was, we kind of like peel the onions and let him, just let it all out. Leon is having such a rough, they're losing bad, and but I did not get a chance to. But we'll certainly have him on if things continue to deteriorate, so he can let it all out. It's okay, Wiso, you can let it all out. Let it all out. Kind of like we did last season, Chiquis, with Pumas being so bad.
Yeah, they were injured. There was some excitement with Castillo, but the injuries came and hit. And Leon started off okay. They had 2 wins and a tie.
Yeah, they're in 8th place right now. But the thing is that their losses are just.
Yeah, they took 4 against Necaxa, 5 in Monterrey, 5 against Santos.
I mean that is harsh. They are. What is their goal differential right now? They are -8. America's +9, Santos is +8, Pumas is +5, and Monterrey is +6. And those are the top. Those are the top 4 teams. And then, so it looks pretty bleak for León on some of their losses to be, but they're still in 8th place. So you're right though. It's not all is lost, but you got to think that if they score on you, man, are they going to score 5 on us again today?
Yeah. I thought Landon did all right in his first in his debut.
I did not get a chance to watch it because I was unavailable to do it. But he played what, like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Did he influence the game at all in those 10 minutes?
He held the ball a little bit. I think he lost possession maybe once, but there's actually one time where he had a pass to him in the center. He could have took a shot. I think it was blocked or something happened, but he didn't look too bad. He said he didn't feel comfortable, and he needs to work on his fitness, I guess, and all that. But he looked okay.
Yeah, well, hopefully he'll get it going for Leon, all Leon fans everywhere, for their sake. So
yeah.
And Joel, you're still on the Chivas don't make the Liguilla.
Yeah, I see them missing out. 25 points is about what you need to qualify.
And
so,
you've got them pegged right at 20, right?
This is like 2021. I'll say yeah, that's basically what you look how you know some of the teams. So basically, get as many points as you can at home, and reach that 25-point mark. And, liguilla. That plus that equals liguilla.
I remember one year Ecuador made the World Cup where they got like 25 points. We know whatever the number is, and all but 1 or 2 points that they won at home.
They were on the road.
Well, I'm saying they qualified for the World Cup. They played home and away, and all but 2 of their points that they had for their round robin, their todos contra todos, they got at home. So yes, so obviously, that is certainly a good strategy to qualify for the liguilla.
Yeah, that's where and that's, I don't know, man. If Almeida's track record for home games, it hasn't been good.
Why does Chivas not have a good home field advantage?
Man, a lot of things, I think there's a lot to it, but I can't pinpoint it. But they just haven't, since he's been at the helm. They only had like one big win, which was 1-3-0 win. And
now, do they have a good home field advantage with Chepo? Have they just not had it at the Zombie Life?
No, I need to check. That was gonna be my next. I'm not trying to turn it into a Chepo Almeida thing. I was just focusing on Almeida.
No, I was just curious. I mean, I wasn't either. I was just wondering if it's, if it's something that's consistent throughout the coaches that have been at Chivas since they've been at the Omni Life is, what is their record there? I mean, are they are they at 500? Do they at least win half their games? If they don't win half their games, that's a problem.
Yeah, no, that needs to be my next.
Well, I got the
next study to check the stats. I was just looking at Almeida's record.
I got some stats right here for you.
What you got? Oh, here we go.
Was Apertura 2015. At home, Chivas loses to Cruz Azul. They win against Morelia 2-0, and they win against Chiapas 4-1. And then Chepo was, I guess, sacked, and Matias Almeida started.
So Chepo got fired after winning 4-1.
Yeah, exactly. Against Chiapas, and then they lose away to Tijuana 2-1.
Okay, he got sacked after the Tijuana.
Okay,
because the next game was against Querétaro, so they needed to get rid of him because Querétaro was like, they had a lot of injuries and they were just in a bad streak, so they needed to get rid of him before he won that game. They just get out of here, man. Yeah, they had some players suspended and a couple others injured. Querétaro was doing bad, and it's like, just get out of here, man. That's why it was like kind of controversial how they fired him. He was training the team, and Almeida was landing at the airport.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember before the weekend, Almeida was, he came. The reports that he was in Guadalajara with like 4 huge suitcases.
Yeah, and his assistant coaches and everything.
Right.
Like his entourage.
That's terrible. That is unfortunate. So my next question for you, Chiquis, will be: does Pumas do they right the ship? Do they stay on the path that they seem to have started on the season, or is it the beginning of a precipitous fall?
No, I think they stay like 4th or 5th throughout the whole season, or they end up that way. Initially I said Monterrey was going to probably take everything. I still sort of think that, but now I think America has a really good chance of winning the whole thing.
Yeah, America is definitely playing well, and they've obviously added some horses that seem to play well together, even though they haven't played that much together. They seem to be showing signs that they will be clicking. Now, the two players that I thought that looked really good together were the youngster Ronaldo Cisneros and Pulido, who probably should have scored a few more goals. But I do agree with you, Chiquis. I think Pumas' loss against Veracruz was like a market correction. It just kind of brought things back to the reality of where Pumas should probably really be, like around fourth or fifth with what they have. And like you said earlier in the show, I mean, they're a team that could lie in the weeds and pounce, and they obviously have a good goal scorer. Their defense is immeasurably better with the Spaniard they brought in, Arribas.
Yeah.
And and again, they're using former Pumas canteranos and playing the system they've played their entire, the with the wingers and the interplay they have with the midfielders, and then either the the wandering striker or the center into the big guy, and it's worked well for them, and hopefully it'll continue to work well. And we also can't neglect the fact that the goalie who had a terrible season last season, Pollo Saldívar, is playing much better as well. He's made some big saves.
Their schedule doesn't look too bad. They go to Tijuana next this week, and then Chivas, León, Toluca, Cruz Azul.
Are you willing to say right now, Chiquis, on this podcast that the game next week against Chivas is pan comido?
It's I'm hoping so. It's going to be at home at 12 noon, so it should be good. There should be some nice goat to be had.
It'll be a barbacoa. And then they have León, and then they get Toluca at home, because it's much better to play them there than which I think is the toughest place to play in Liga MX, which is the Bombonera. And yeah, you're right though. The schedule doesn't look. They'll have Santos late in the season when it's going to be really hot, and they get Puebla at home, which is good. Good. Anybody that gets Puebla at home, that is definitely. But they does have to go to the Tamalera, so I think that you'd probably want to, mark that one down as a loss.
Yeah.
But every other game is reasonably winnable for Pumas.
Yes.
But with the way that they're playing right now. Yeah, so again, I think Chiquis, goal, like Joel says, to get to your 25 points. They're more than halfway there right now. They have 11 games to get. 10 games to get 11 points. So if you win 3, draw 2, and then then you have 5 games to get a few more points. I mean, Pumas has a really good opportunity here to right a lot of wrongs, to wash a lot of sins away. But if they do have a very reasonable season, and I think it, at some point, if they're if they've qualified for the Liga, let's say I'm just I'm begging here, but like in Jornada 14, they have like a couple of weeks to play, still play your starters and still get the points, because the Liga is going to be gravy. You have right now, the most important thing for Pumas is to get as many points as possible this season. I mean, if you have a team that got a little hot, let's ride it for as long as they go. And if they can get something like 30, 31 points, it would be just an absolute. I mean, it's just an incredible shot in the arm for them to go in the next season. So definitely doable for Pumas, I think.
Yeah, take advantage.
We'll see how it turns out. Well, gentlemen, we've gone on of our usual 2 hours or so we want to go ahead and wrap it up. Joel, thank you for joining us, and thank you for for being our resident pragmatic.
Anytime, John.
Joel, it's almost like you are a maker and bottler of what I like to call reality juice. You like to make sure everyone has their recommended daily dosage of reality juice. So we do thank you for bringing that. Chiquis, thanks a lot again for setting everything up, setting up the call. I'm glad we had a couple of callers, and thanks to everyone who was on the chat tonight. Had a couple of new names and a couple of names I recognize. So we do appreciate that.
Yep.
And
glad to be here. Thanks for hosting.
Of course, and I want to thank Daniel Preciado and Ronnie De Luna, who joined us earlier and had to step off. But do appreciate everyone that listens to us here on the CantinaMX podcast. Like I said, we're on every Thursday, live at 9:30, usually around 9:30ish on YouTube. Sometimes we start a little late. We can't, we just can't help it. Sometimes it's just, it is what it is, and I'm sure y'all understand. But we can download this and every previous version of our podcast from the podcast center on iTunes. If you subscribe to it, you can set up notifications on your phone. That the minute that Chiquis posts to the podcast, you'll know about it. And of course, you can download it from Google Play. You can follow us on the Twitter at CantinaMX_pod. And our Facebook page is actually doing very well right now. So you can certainly follow that. And if you want to get your news through Facebook, you can certainly do that. I know that Joel is very active in posting not just news, but some news of the weird around the world of soccer as well, and some funny stuff too. Some good magazine. Actually, before we go, I have to say, last week you guys were giving me a little bit of grief about the position that I took about Real Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain. Saying Real Madrid was going to take care of business, and they had no business winning. They didn't have possess whatever it is, and they still won 3-1. So imagine how bad they're gonna beat that team when they actually put the screws to them, which I think they're gonna do in Paris. So, just saying.
Yeah, poor Neymar.
He, I like Neymar. I think he's a terrific player, but he just does not have that. He needs to control his temper. And when he gets that under control, then I think he'll be an outstanding player. And he is an outstanding player, but he needs to control his temper.
Temper
he
also
made some
Di Maria. His wife had a temper tantrum also, apparently, because he didn't play. So there might be some issues there. I don't know why he wouldn't play. That guy's lethal.
Well, one thing I will say now, and I think that you can that this is as close to being a lock as there is as possible. Listen, and they might go to Real Madrid, and then it may or may not happen. I don't know for sure. I think it would cost them like 300 or 400 million euros, which I'm sure they'll easily and happily spend. But I do think the guy that's going to end up at Real Madrid, especially if he has a decent World Cup, is going to be Mohamed Salah. There's no doubt in my mind that guy is going to be a Real Madrid player, even if he doesn't have a good World Cup next year. He's playing for Real Madrid in September. That guy is fantastic. And when you got a fantastic player that plays on a team like that, Real Madrid's going to come calling. They did it with James. They do it with everybody.
Talking about Chucky?
No, I'm talking about Mohamed Salah.
Oh.
He scored 30 goals in all competitions so far this year for Liverpool. 30. He made Diego Reyes, I'm not going to say he made him look foolish, but he did beat him pretty. I mean, the one goal was just an outstanding play. I don't think Diego Reyes could be, at fault for that.
And this was right when Diego Reyes he's about to be a free agent. There's a couple Italian teams looking at him.
Yeah, they wanted to emulate the Leon defense, I think, at Oporto at midweek. No, it was pretty ugly. They got whipped pretty good. They got whipped pretty good.
So Salah is the Premier League's version of Di Giannini, huh?
Yeah, he's fun to watch, man. Egypt a very winnable group. They have Russia. I forget. In fact, they should be the favorite. Let me look at I forget who's in their group right now. But they they can certainly win their group, and I'm see who they have in the Cruce. Yeah, so it's Egypt, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay. So, I mean, they would be favorites against Russia and Saudi Arabia for sure. And then they play Uruguay as well. So, and then in their Cruce, they have the group of Iran, Morocco, Portugal, and Spain. So they would play either Portugal or Spain. So we'll see what happens, but I do think that he'll be a merengue for sure. Because Joel, Real Madrid, you know who their cantera is?
Oh no,
Our team.
The rest
Every
of the
other team.
the rest of
Real Madrid's cantera.
Barcelona.
But actually, Real Madrid's cantera has actually been better than Barcelona's. Or is the players
They have
that
lately produced, but as far as their super
playing,
ídolos, other than Raúl, most of them all have come from somewhere else.
Oh yeah. Well,
But you're right, though. Lately, they have done well. Joel.
Yes.
You were saying?
No, just that, and I was seeing they were showing like a list. They were showing a list of players and how they're doing, the canteranos, and yeah, a lot of the Barcelona's players just sort of like disappeared.
And,
I wish Profe Cambiarrayas was here because he was, he always likes to remind me how Nestor got rid of I can't remember that guy's. No, not Westerhoff. There was a dude that was part of.
Yeah, the guy who started the Barcelona's academy.
He was well. I don't know. I don't think he started, but he was one of the coaches during their golden generation.
Right.
Javi, Iniesta, and all that, and he landed in Chivas, and he was only there for a couple months, but Profe Cambiarraya still not over it that we let him go. And even though I remind him, like, where is he now? And he's like in Puerto Rico somewhere in some amateur team. So, yeah.
Well, they also let Johan Cruyff go too.
I know that was. I saw that coming though, but.
Well, yeah. I mean, the minute he signed him, you saw it coming. I mean, that was never going to end well, ever.
Well, the minute I saw that he was only gonna come to the team, he was gonna give him 30 minutes of FaceTime once a week, and then be at the club once every 3 months or something. And I was like, that's not gonna work.
Right.
You need to see him in the stands every home game.
Now, to Johan Cruyff's credit, he did finally convince Vergara to get rid of that nasty carpet.
Yeah.
So that is the fact they should call it El Pasto Johan Cruyff, La Grama Johan Cruyff, in his honor for making that happen. Gentlemen, we should probably head on out before we get sidetracked again. But I do appreciate both of y'all coming on, and appreciate you, the listener, for hanging out with us. We'll do this again next week, Thursday night, 9:30 Central on YouTube. My name is John Jagu. We'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks very much.